This is The Real Winning Edge. It's a vocalist who won back her voice and her life. A tennis player who had a heart-stopping procedure but aced it. A scuba diver who found her greatest strength came after her deepest dive. It's celebrities who let you know what it takes to win in life. Nicole C. Mullen, Andy Roddick, and Kirby Liesmann. This is How to Overcome.
I'm Apollo Antonono. See how you can overcome when life gets tough.
Hi, I'm Lisa Leslie. Find out how to have the real winning edge over life's challenges.
She was sure the end had come. Coming up.
I'm Nicole C. Mullen, and as a singer-songwriter, I've been privileged to be named Songwriter of the Year and Female Vocalist of the Year. I love to encourage, inspire, and teach through my music and through mentoring others. God has answered so many of my prayers in bringing me this far, and I want to introduce you to a young lady who surely has seen her own and everyone else's prayers answered. She had her heart set on being a singer also, but almost stopped by a diagnosis of terminal cancer. See how even in facing such terrible adversity, she had the real winning edge.
Felicity underwent tremendous nausea, vomiting, just sickly, weak. When Felicity was diagnosed with the cancer, we were very concerned that she would make it.
Her voice probably would never talk again, the doctor said. Pretty much never sing again, and that really disappointed me for her.
My mother, she was so excited because she was pregnant with me, and they told her that she had cancer. And she prayed and she said, God, if you just let me have this child, she will always know of you. And she went in and they said, we can't explain it. Your body chemistry has changed and it has put you in remission. My parents got divorced when I was 3 years old, and we moved into housing projects in what people considered the bad part of town. But my mother always told me, don't ever use this situation for an excuse. Where we're at does not dictate who you're going to become. I started singing when I was 3 years old, and from then on, my family couldn't get me to stop singing. I take probably anywhere from half an hour to 2 hours out of every day just to sit and sing and practice songs.
A few years ago, Felicity came to one of our concerts, and she gave me a CD when it was over, and I thought, well, it's just be a mediocre CD. I put my radio player, and she was fantastic. Felicity is now known as one of the very best we have.
When people hear Felicity for the first time, they walk away saying, wow. She just has a way of getting the heartstrings of people, and everything she does, she puts her heart and soul into it.
Doctors were looking at your throat and were a little concerned about what's going on.
I was diagnosed with cancer a year ago, and the thought of that terrified me. And I thought, God, if I pray this story touches thousands of lives and that you'd give me the opportunity to do that.
Felicity had 2 types of cancer, thyroid cancer. She underwent 2 surgeries, and she underwent treatment of radioactive iodine.
And I remember laying in my bed just crying because I was in so much pain. But at that time, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who my mom and dad were. That's when they told us that I wouldn't make it through the night. And, you know, many people ask me how I know there's a God, because when I knew nothing else, my heart's instinct was to cry out to God. And I had such peace. And then I thought, when I wake up, I am going to wake up in glory. And instead, I woke up to the sound of my mother's voice. And that is the day I knew I'm going to beat this.
Felicity couldn't even walk on her own. She couldn't do anything. And it was really mind-blowing because every time I'd look over at her, she was smiling and laughing and like, hey, Leanne, what can I pray for you today? How are you doing?
Many of our friends and family and my community stood behind us. And without them, I don't know how we would have made it through, because prayer was the absolute most needed thing. And they fulfilled that need for us.
Felicity is the strongest person I've ever met. If anyone in this county, if you ask if they knew who Felicity is, the first thing they'll say, of course I know her. She's given me a million hugs.
My family became a foster family about 1.5 years ago, almost 2 years. Being able to open up our home to such precious children, it's actually our blessing, because they teach us just as much as we teach them. I love to volunteer. And so volunteering has ranged anywhere from churches, for the American Cancer Society, for benefits for different causes, for families in our community, because if there's a way to give back, then I honestly want to do it.
We've seen so many people come into this office with cancer and lose the battle. And it's amazing that she's still doing well.
There was probably a good month that I would open my mouth and nothing would come out. And I remember crying and being so upset. And it finally got to the point where one day I just had to decide that I would not feed into that negativity anymore. I won't focus on what I'm not going to have in the future.
There were days that the doctor said she wouldn't make it. She still had this faith that she knew who she was and she knew who her God was. And that identity really helped her to persevere.
Felicity's faith never faltered. She always believed that God would use her in some way, even at the point of death. Even when doctors told her that she might not be able to sing again.
I remember the day I was told I was cancer-free. My voice had eventually come back. It started out as a small squeak, and then it built from there, just practicing with it every day. So it wasn't too long before I was back up and we were traveling again, singing and ministering. Through my cancer battle, we were flooded with so many constant trials and tribulation. And whenever we thought our situation was too much, we can always think of someone who is facing something much worse than we were. The advice I would give to any viewer watching that is struggling is living every day to the fullest and appreciating what you have, because you might not have much, but thanking God for each small thing in your life adds up. I never expected to face cancer, but I believe that I am better because of it, and that God has been able to teach me so much through this.
Gotta keep praising His name. That's the only way that I find healing.
Next, he smashed the prediction made for him.
Hi, I'm Andy Roddick. I love tennis and was lucky enough to play it for a living. I finished in the top 10 9 times and was world #1. Like any athlete, I've had my share of disappointments. In those moments of disappointment, I wish I would have handled myself half as well as Wilfredo Gonzalez, the courageous young man whose story you're about to hear. He really does have the winning edge.
My heart will start beating really fast all of a sudden, and it will stop like 30 seconds after. So I thought it was nothing serious. But then we were playing at Rice. My heart started beating really fast. It lasted like 10 minutes and I couldn't stop it. I couldn't control it. So I got really scared, and that was the moment in which I decided I needed to have the surgery. I started in tennis back in Guatemala since I was like 4 or 5 years old. My father, he's the best coach. I started winning national tournaments, then I started going outside of the country. He did a great effort in the financial side. We have to go outside of the country, and it's something very expensive. My dad, he managed his contacts, so much effort to get people to help me. That way I was able to travel and to compete. I love the pressure. I like the competition. I hate to lose. I think performing well under pressure inside the court, it transfers for my life outside of the court.
I first met Wilfredo at the Orange Bowl tournament here in Miami. I realized how good of a competitor he was, and finally we got him here at the University of Miami. Last year he received an academic award, All-ACC athlete. He's a tremendous student as well.
What I've observed about Wilfredo, what makes him a great athlete, not only is he agile, quick, in great condition, he's mentally tough.
The training here at the University of Miami is different in the way that here I'm with a team. I practice with 7 more players that have a really high level. We have to be very disciplined in order to accomplish good grades and a good level of tennis.
Up, down, 9. Wilfredo is an unbelievable teammate. He holds his teammates to a very high standard. He makes them reach that standard, and that's why he's one of our greatest leaders here in the university.
Part of the process with our incoming student athletes is they get a pre-participation physical. When we saw Wilfredo's EKG, it was sent to Dr. Robert Meyerberg. We knew that this was something on the EKG that we were concerned about, that this could disrupt his tennis playing.
I was concerned, I was a little bit shocked. We had already started our season. He had already played a few matches.
We found something on his screening electrocardiogram that identified a syndrome that creates a risk for heart rhythm disturbances. I've had players with this sort of thing where it interferes with their performance, and in rare cases, certain circumstances can actually lead to sudden death. We talked about the things we could do about it, one of which is a procedure where we actually go in and interrupt the tract that causes the heart rhythm disturbance.
When they diagnosed I had an arrhythmia, I didn't want to get surgery. We were in the middle of the season and it was my first year. I just didn't want to stop playing. But then after the Rice incident, I got really scared and I decided that was the best thing.
He was extraordinarily mature about this whole thing, and I'm pleased to say it was successful.
I got a lot of confidence because everybody told me, we're gonna pray for you.
After the surgery, I thought he was going to be like at least 2 months out. 1 week after, he was already playing. I think the guy is like a machine.
Wilfredo comes in every day, works with our strength coaches, goes out there and plays tennis, and he's been feeling great ever since the procedure.
I stay connected to go praying every day. I feel bad if I don't. Whenever I can, I try to go to church. It's a really quiet place and I feel it's the best place for reflection.
Wilfredo is my best friend, he's my brother, and I know I can trust him for anything. And I know that all the teammates trust him as well, you know.
I like to be with my friends and just talking to them. I feel there's no better hobby than just talking to a person rather than watching a movie or playing video games. I feel that communication is good for them, is good for me, and it keeps us happy.
Wilfredo, he's the first one to say hello to kids that come to the matches. I was having my tennis camp here. We had a bunch of kids around. I all of a sudden saw Wilfredo teaching the kids, explaining to them how to hit a forehand, hit a backhand, and the volleys.
I encourage kids to believe in something. I tell them, look, everything you do counts. We'll give you something back. Whatever you put in, you will get that. If something bad happens now, if a door closes right now, another will open later. You just gotta think about the mistake, make the correction, and move on. I really thank God for that He gave me, because without Him, I wouldn't be what I am now. The real winning edge for me is faith and hard work.
Coming up, she learned that from disappointment can come strength.
My diving instructor was telling me about how he was going to try to break a men's world record for scuba diving. And I was like, that sounds really cool. I think I could do it too, because when it comes to the water, I feel like I'm fearless and I could just do anything. So as soon as I told him that, we started training and I went for it. I grew up around the water my entire life, wakeboarding, water skiing, fishing all the time, out in the Gulf with my family. To be a certified scuba diver, you have to be fit. And the most important thing when you're getting ready to go for a dive, you need to set up that equipment perfectly. If you don't set up something correctly, something could go wrong down there. And a big important thing is to never panic when you're down there.
When you want to become a scuba diver and you take the class, how the physics of underwater, how it affects your body. So many factors come into play. You want to be comfortable in the water. You definitely have to be able to carry your own gear, assemble your own gear. What a lot of people love about scuba diving is being in a whole different world. You see these fish, you see all these animals that you never see. It's a chance to explore. The ocean's so full of life.
The lake that was set up for us to attempt the world record in, we ended up training for several weeks every single day, going down there, familiarizing ourselves with the setting at the bottom, and just becoming comfortable under the water for an entire week. I couldn't actually eat normal food. I had to drink Ensure meal replacement shakes for an entire week to get my body ready for the dive.
When Alan first told me that Nicole wanted to join in the record, I was concerned because I was in charge of the safety of Alan, and now a second person was going to come on board. She wanted to benefit the Wounded Warriors Foundation to help in every way, and she wanted to accomplish this for herself and for others, so I agreed.
So we set the date for September 11th, and we went down when the first plane hit. And we did this because of the event that happened years ago on September 11th. And we had the Wounded Warriors program set up so that people would come and donate to the Wounded Warriors.
What that foundation does is they take veterans and they teach them how to scuba dive.
Once we got into the water that day, there's so many things happening at once. There were a lot of people that we called safety divers. So these people went up and down constantly throughout the day to check on us, give us food. While I was down there, I kept praying, God, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I went through with it. Let me finish this record. Let me do it. I was really cold. I started shivering. I was praying. I was like, please let these shivers go away. I want to make this record so bad. They kept asking me, do you need to go up? I did not want to quit. I did not want to give up. No matter how cold I was, I thought I would get over being cold and that I would be fine. Eventually, I wasn't fine. My prayers changed, and I decided, please just let me live through this. Jose was the rescue diver who decided I needed to come up.
Where you are?
I can't remember that moment at all.
When Nicole came out of the water, I knew that something wasn't right. She was shaking, she was cold, probably going through mild shock.
I knew that she would be in good hands because she was now breathing. She was with her parents, she was around friends, firefighters, paramedics, and there was another diver in the water, so I had to get back in there and be with her.
So attempting this record has strengthened my relationship with God. While I was down there, when I was praying that eventually, I wanted to make it through it, and the fact that I made it out alive, I believe that God made me more courageous because of this event. And He's made me a more confident person through all this. My parents split up when I was 10 years old. It hit me really hard. It came out of nowhere. I thought my parents had a really great relationship. It was hard seeing how that affected my mom and my brother. It led me to a depression for about 3 years.
When my dad left, it was very difficult. I was 13, she was 10, and to have your sister, your only sibling, and your best friend looking at you and trying to reach out and wondering why. It was obviously an impossible task for me, and it forced you to emotionally mature and grow up before you're supposed to.
When Nicole's parents went through a hard divorce, my parents also went through a hard divorce, and we really leaned on each other and we got really, really close, and we prayed together. And it helped us really get through that really tough time in our lives.
After going through a depression at that young age, I didn't know who to turn to, and I didn't have the best relationship with people at school. I wasn't necessarily the kindest person. I had a lot of anger in me. My mom suggested I go to a youth group. So I started going to a youth group at a church, and these people were so kind to me. They made me a happier person, and eventually I got over that depression, and so did my family.
I saw her grow as a person as she got older. She took the encouragement she got from others, And I think by her being involved with her youth group and having such good friends, it really helped her get through her tough time.
I would advise anyone near the age that I was when my parents split to not go at it alone. Place yourself around people who have a loving relationship with God. It's going to rub off on you.
Don't miss next week on The Real Winning Edge and see how real teens deal with the challenges of family conflicts, OCD and anxiety, and loss of a loved one. Our celebrity introducers will be Ashley Wagner and Andy Finch. If you'd like to order copies of the program or our youth study program, log on to our website, realwinningedge.com. If you have comments or suggestions for profilees, write us at info@challengerfilms.org or friend us on Facebook. And as always, may you have the real winning edge over life's challenges.